Welcome back, guys. So today I want to talk about 3 anxiety symptoms that lasted the longest for me during my 5-year journey where I dealt with panic attacks, health anxiety, and generalized anxiety disorder. These symptoms happened the most because those are the ones that I feared the most. These are the ones that I gave the most attention to. Now, sure, there were other symptoms that lasted for months at a time that I had that I was very, very scared of. But for some reason, these 3 symptoms that I had and experienced lasted longer than a year, each of them. Okay, so I'm going to break this down, and along the way I want to kind of tell you why this happens and some of the things that I was able to do to kind of break down some of these fears and get out of these situations. Now, this first one, guys, I know a lot of you have dealt with this symptom. A lot of you are still struggling with it. It's probably one of the most common anxiety symptoms that there is, and that's anxiety related chest pain. And guys, this is probably the worst symptom that I ever experienced, because for me personally, I felt like there was nothing worse than having to worry about your heart going out at any time of the day. And it can be very, very crippling. You start to actually live like a heart patient. You're checking your pulse constantly, even though you don't need to. You're checking your blood pressure as if a doctor has instructed you to do that 10 times a day. You're very, very cautious about overexerting yourself, right? So you don't want to go outside in the heat because that's going to make your vitals go up. You're scared of hot showers. That's going to make your vitals go up. You're scared of taking the groceries in, going upstairs, getting off the couch too quick because I don't want my heart to palpitate. And you're sure as hell scared of exercise. So this can become very debilitating and disabling, crippling, okay? And it spread to every aspect of my life. I also didn't want to have I was always fearing a heart attack, okay, whenever I would deal with my chest pain. And it would always accompany other symptoms like fast heart rate, numbness, tingling. So none of that would help. Shortness of breath, general just tension and tightness in my body. So I had so many other fears that were associated with it. It transferred over to driving anxiety because I was afraid that I was going to have a heart attack while driving, hit a tree, die. I was afraid that I was going to have a heart attack, hit somebody head on, and then they're going to think that, that there was nothing wrong with my heart, or even check because I'm young. I was like in my early 20s at this time, and that maybe I was just trying to kill somebody or I was being reckless on the road. So driving was terrible. Working with this was terrible. Being in public, I was afraid of dying of a heart attack and just going out and what I viewed as like an embarrassing way to die, which it's not embarrassing if you're actually having a heart attack. It's just, you know what I mean? Like, you're going to get some help and there's going to actually be people there. I almost wanted to be alone in some weird way. I was afraid to, use the bathroom or have to strain at all. So I would try to hurry up and do it as quickly as I could, even though that's ironically going to cause more straining. But I was afraid of dying naked in the bathroom, going number 2. I was afraid of dying naked in the shower. So I tried to make my bathroom time as quick as possible, in and out. But as far as the pains, guys, I had this for about 2 years. I can't tell you the exact date when it started or ended or anything like that. 2 years is the best guesstimate that I have. And I would have it everywhere. Guys, I would have the upper, the left, the right, the center, and that was more so associated with tension that I would have. And then I would have some that would be a little bit lower because I would get indigestion, heartburn, GERD, trapped gas, trapped air can cause this. Some people get esophagus spasms, which can lead to some chest pains. You can get spasms in your chest in general, so muscle spasms. Most people are dealing with this because of just the tension, but also heartburn and GERD, indigestion can cause pressure and some burning sensations and pain in your chest. Ask your doctor about costochondritis. Anxiety can influence that as well. It can be its own separate thing as well, but ask your doctor about that as well. But there's, quite a few little things that can be causing your chest pain that are not a heart problem, okay, is what I'm trying to say. My best advice to you if you are dealing with chest pain is get reassurance as fast as you can. That was one of the mistakes that I made. I waited I think it was probably at least a few weeks, if not like a month, before I went, because my mom was a nurse and she was just trying to tell me like, Trey, there's nothing wrong. But my chest hurt for like 3 weeks straight after my first panic attack. So I just kept on trying. I wanted to believe that there was nothing wrong. I also had a fear of going to the doctor and them telling me like, your heart's gonna go out, or you've had a few heart attacks, it looks like, and they weren't picked up, or they weren't severe enough for you to go to the hospital and you're still alive and you got heart damage. So I was afraid too. But the problem with that, guys, and this is something that can make these symptoms last longer for you guys, the longer you wait to get reassurance, the longer that you have to keep on pouring fear or gasoline on this anxiety fire. And that's what I was doing. So the symptom just got worse, and it got worse, and it got worse. And then it became a habit. So even whenever I wanted to start accepting, and once the doctors finally started telling me, look, there's nothing wrong with your heart, dude, and I wanted to try to do exposure, it still took a long time for my chest pain to gradually fade. And eventually what got me out of this was pushing through with exercise, because one day I had to see for myself if I'm gonna die or not. I know that sounds extreme, but those of you with health anxiety, you know what I'm talking about. You feel like you're taking a risk sometimes. Like, there's a 50-50 chance I'm gonna die when I go out there and run. And I had to take that chance. You know, I was exhausted from it. I was tired of it. I wasn't living ways, couldn't hold a job. My relationship was suffering. I was just tired of being afraid of this all the time. So I did that, and then I didn't die. And in fact, my anxiety felt a little better. My chest felt a little bit better. And I was like, oh my God, I don't have anything wrong with my heart. And that was so huge for me. And then guess what? Once I accepted that, and then I started to exercise more and build evidence that I was healthy, I started to see this symptom gradually go away. So if you've gotten a bunch of testing done, and get the testing done that you feel like you need, see a specialist if you need to see a specialist, whatever you think you need, and then start working on acceptance towards that symptom. And then exercise is the best way to tell if your heart's healthy. And it doesn't mean that you're not going to have symptoms when you go out there and it be smooth sailing. You may have to break through some barriers and push through whenever you don't want to push through. But that helped me. The next one, guys, is a very odd one, but I'm going to just be honest and transparent about the ones that lasted the longest for me. And that was ear pressure. And I wouldn't say tinnitus, because tinnitus would come and go on that same ear, but it was more so just ear pressure and feeling like, you know, I had like Kleenex or a cotton ball stuffed deep into my eustachian tube. That would be, you know, that drainage tube that comes down to your throat. It just felt like something was in there. So I always thought that there was a brain tumor or something restricting that. I also was afraid of like lymphoma at the time. So I was always messing around with my lymph nodes in here. And I would always feel like I felt something that was abnormally big, which I was wrong. And I was also causing some swelling on my part from pushing and prodding and poking. But this symptom overall, believe it or not, guys, it lasted 1.5 years, and it was the last part of my health anxiety, last bout of it, where I was finally able to let go of that while I was working on all these other lifestyle changes and everything. It all just kind of came together at the end for me to recover. But yeah, that last 1.5 years, you know, there were some dark times going back and forth to the ENT, asking for CAT scans. You know, she wouldn't give me one. She's a good woman. She was an old ENT doctor, very respected in this town. So ultimately I did trust her, even though I was frustrated with her. But she looked in my ear many times and she couldn't find anything. I took pressure tests, and most of the time they were like a tick off or something, but it wasn't. She said there's no reason to be feeling what I'm feeling. And I did that for a while, and you know, it would go away whenever I would sleep. Of course, that wasn't good enough for me. You know, why would my cancer disappear when I sleep? But it would happen after waking up and being awake for about 5-10 minutes. It would start to tighten up in there, and then, yeah, and it would stay there with me. I did notice that cold water made it go away, so that's another thing that helped me start to accept it. But one day, just like a lot of my other symptoms, I was like, I'm just gonna let go of this. I've done what I can do. You know, I did the smart thing. I got checked out. And now I'm just going to let go of this. I can't keep playing this game. You know what I mean? And at the same time, even though it was uncomfortable that my ear had pressure, I finally came to realize, like, okay, this isn't getting worse. And I've had this for 1.5 years, so it's not killing me. You know what I mean? So that helped me too, to let go. Notice with some of your symptoms, if it's not getting worse and you've had this freaking thing for 1 year and you've obviously been afraid and you've been checked out multiple times and you've gotten a couple different opinions, use that too. That helped me with some of these symptoms. I was like, you know, disease is progressive. I would have died by now, or I would have needed treatment or something. So that can help as well with some of these symptoms. But finally, I let go of it. And again, it took me a few weeks, but it gradually started to melt away. I did everything. I didn't sit here and let these thoughts consume me. I didn't entertain it with fear. I was just like, I'm just thankful to be alive and I'm breathing and I'm not dead. Now, in this next one, guys, I'm going to cheat a little bit because it's plural. It's digestive symptoms. Now, for me, this lasted about 3.5-ish, maybe 4 years before it started to settle down. And I give a lot of credit to the fact that I wasn't having panic attacks at the end to my digestive health getting better. Also, at this time, I was introducing things like probiotics, apple cider vinegar and lemon. I was fixing my diet. I was living more of a stress preventative lifestyle at this point. I was heading into that recovery process, and the things in my digestive system started to settle down. But symptom-wise, and I know there's tons of them, just stomach pains, stomach aches. To kind of give you what a day kind of looked like for me, I would wake up, and this is not counting all the other symptoms that I'm having, but I would wake up and, I'd like have chest pains and back pains and tension, and I'd start to panic. My stomach would hurt probably the first like 5 or 6 hours of the day because I would get trapped gas in my stomach, and it would stay there until I was able to get it all out, TMI. But that would take me like 6 hours to get all of that gas that had built up throughout the night. I understand that anxiety causes us to produce more gas, but I don't know if it had to do with me like laying down and it just kind of added up. I don't know what was going on with that, but that sucked. It also is very uncomfortable, and it kind of puts a dent in your day. Whenever you have horrible gas, the first half of it makes you not want to go do things, go to work, hang out, go to the store. It's painful, and also you don't have to worry about passing gas all throughout the morning or having to stop in the bathroom multiple times. So that's not fun. Diarrhea, especially if I was having panic attacks, I would have diarrhea. There's nothing worse, and I've said this a few times on the channel, but it's true. There's nothing worse than sitting on the toilet having diarrhea while you think you're having a heart attack, because it kind of goes back to some of my old fears of like where I was like so afraid of having a heart attack while pooping and somebody finding me there, and then there's like a whole mess that they have to deal with, the smell, and then on top of that, I'm dead. So yeah, that was like a fear of mine, even though if I'm already passed away, why am I going to care, right? But I was just afraid of that. So diarrhea. But then sometimes when you don't have blood flow that's going down here and stimulating things, it can also cause constipation. So constipation, heartburn, and GERD, and indigestion, guys. I would have those. I had to be careful with what I ate. Heavy carb meals were like a no-go for me after a while. More of a keto-like lifestyle kind of helped me get past some of that as well. It definitely helped me. But yeah, stomach pains, diarrhea, constipation, gas, indigestion, all that fun stuff. Excessive belching, right, because of the trapped air. Also, you produce more gas, like I mentioned earlier. Hiccups, I would have that a lot. Yeah, so I would have those issues. Just remember, guys, the faster that you get reassurance from a doctor, you can start then developing internal reassurance, right? Where you have to start telling yourself why this symptom is not needed. As long as you are showing fear to that symptom and entertaining it and giving it focus, it will stick around. But you need to note this, all right? Note this. This is very, very important. This is why people give up and these symptoms will last for years like mine did. I want you guys to understand that even whenever you start doing the right stuff, since you have given this symptom so much power, it is going to take time for it to fade, right? You have to be willing to go the distance. Stop thinking of it on a day-by-day basis or weekly basis. You have to start thinking in terms of months, right? Rather than days or weeks. So you got to have your routine together. You got to change your lifestyle. You have to start with exposure, and you have to expect to do those things while you have these symptoms. Then that's going to allow you to accept it more, right? If you have things like something's wrong, you're fearing something's wrong with your heart, obviously, one of your biggest goals has to be exercising daily, so you have that concrete evidence throughout the rest of the day that you're healthy and that, no, I'm sitting on the couch. Like, why would I have a heart attack right now? I would have had a heart attack this morning whenever I ran and kicked that workout in the butt, right? So you got to build evidence that you're healthy, but you have to convince yourself. That's why I go to the doctor after so many times. Like, it's almost just like it's like a drug, right? And you just grow more tolerant to it and you feel like you need more of it, but what your subconscious needs is you. You have to be able to tell yourself that you're healthy. But if you want more help with your anxiety recovery and you want this in a more of a step-by-step process, my course, Elite Anxiety Bootcamp, is down below in the description and in the first pinned comment. It's been helping so many people. I want you to be a part of that. Probably the last 10, 15 videos I've done, I've been reading reviews to you. So be sure to take advantage of that if you haven't. And, oh, my camera's about to fall. It's getting a little breezy. But anyways, guys, I love you all. There's more things down below in the description, my socials, online therapy link, and information for one-on-one coaching. But until next time, guys, keep fighting. Bye.